Robservations with Meyer Burnett.
This next one comes from Roger Robertson, who writes, "Greetings, Rob, and the Post-Geek Singularity. I just watched your short take on why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so dang satisfying. I totally agree with everything you mentioned on your take. The team of Louis D'Esposito, Victoria Alonso, led by Kevin Feige, are unmatched in their ability to guide a studio and select young and up-and-coming directors and writers whom love their work. If I may, there is one addition to the triumvirate you listed, which I believe is the secret sauce in the MCU. That person is the casting director of the MCU, Sarah Finn. It seems to me that the casting director is an unremarkable position in Hollywood. I really can't name you another casting director from the top of my head. I can. Christine Sheeks, or as other people like to say, and I like to say, my professional wife. I always assumed the casting director was responsible for the smaller roles in big productions, while the directors and producers make all the big decisions. This has not been the case, I believe, for the MCU. I've seen several instances where Sarah Finn, while leaving the final decision to the higher-ups, played a crucial part in casting of these films. I don't know if Sarah Finn has a secret technique which the rest of Hollywood is oblivious to, but there is one recurring trait which I've seen in several of the MCU castings. There have been so many castings in the MCU for actors and actresses whom had failed to land a previous casting attempt. Tom Hiddleston auditioned for Thor. He could not compete with Chris Hemsworth, but was perfect for Loki. Sebastian Stan, likewise, did not land Captain America, but played one of the most pivotal roles in the MCU as Bucky. James Gunn could not figure out why it was so important for him to see the comic relief from Parks and Recreation. After the audition, he knew he had his Star-Lord. Even the late, great Chad Boseman had auditioned for Drax the year before being offered the role of Black Panther. I could list several others whom I did not have a direct line to their MCU role, but which Sarah Finn eventually placed perfectly. I do not believe this is a common occurrence in Hollywood, or at least I've not read about it. Disney is now expanding Sarah Finn's scope. She's been the casting director for the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, which just received 15 Emmy nominations. Sarah Finn did the casting for WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and many, if not all, of the upcoming Disney Plus shows. Robert, there is no question, as you stated in your take, that the MCU is an impressive machine. From the very beginning of the MCU, Sarah Finn has been casting the characters which we have come to love and to dread. I believe that she has earned to stand at the Mount Rushmore of the MCU leadership, if you will. Rob, thanks again for your time and your continued contribution to the Post-Geek Singularity. Roger Robertson. Well, Roger, you, sir, knocked that one out of the park because you would be correct. Even though I've directed only a few things, there is nothing I like more when I'm working on a film or a TV show than the process of working with a casting director. See, the thing is, what a casting director does, like when I read a script, and I'll tell you something, this has always been the case, I never usually have an actor in mind. Now, when you're making a big tentpole property, everyone's like, well, who's going to be in it? I don't like to envision an actor, although the project that I'm working on personally that I want to make right now, there are 3 actors that I've had painted into all my storyboards that are in my animatic because I so strongly want them because I think it would help sell the particular project. But I have 3 actors that I must have in this movie. But one of the great things about casting directors is, well, you'd think this was obvious, but they know actors. And, you know, with most movies, you've got your leads that are very important, and they're important to the finance people because you need to know, you have to have a big character actor to lead your film that is going to mean something to the investors. But if you really think about it, if you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, Sarah Finn, the idea of Chris Pratt was never, he's kind of a roly-poly funny dude. To see him as your sort of handsome, dashing, romantic lead, even though it's still a comedy performance, That takes vision. And the great thing about casting directors, as Roger pointed out, casting directors can make your project because they think out of the box. They'll bring in character actors, or they'll bring in actors you didn't think about because you're too fixated on something being one way. A casting director, it's their job to make sure that you are considering positions that you wouldn't normally consider. The casting director can change the entire tenor or pallor, I guess, of your film by bringing you in amazing actors that you hadn't yet thought of, and things get knocked out of the park. They are that special sauce. And you know what? I think you're absolutely right. And I think, look, if you think about it, it's not like, whether it's Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth or even our other favorite Chris's, Chris Evans. These are things that are, this is not your typical thinking. So that's what a casting director can do. A great casting director can bring you people. They know actors you might never have heard of. They went to some, I don't know, showcase last week and saw some up-and-coming talent that you haven't even heard of, or nor would you hear of, that you might hear of. You might get to break that talent because your casting director is bringing you somebody that nobody else knows except them. And I think you're absolutely right. Casting directors can be the unsung heroes of any production. And I'll tell you something, there is not a bigger thrill in the pre-production of a project to watch an actor you might not know anything about. They come into the room and they blow you away. They take what's on the page, they make it uniquely theirs, they give it that little zhuzh that takes it over the top, that makes it into something magical. And that's all because a casting director knew enough to get that person in the room. So, Roger, you are correct, sir. Thanks for writing in. Very much appreciate it.